Vampire Panic, not to be confused with Vampire Reign, Vampire Savior, Vampire Knight, or Vampire Knight, is less of a title and more of a diagnosis. There is no work of art in history containing more panic of the vampire variety than this 2004 Japan-only action game. You'll panic as your survivors freak out and scatter like pikmin every 5 minutes. Your survivors will panic as Alucard teleports in front of them to eat their babies. You'll panic as a vampire when you run out of adrenochrome and suddenly the entire town guard is on your ass. It's like if Dead Rising were named Zombie Panic or perhaps American Panic. Vampire Panic was developed by Alpha System, a very old and interesting studio. First off, they created the Orishika series. For any middle-aged Japanese man in the audience who might recognize that, they made Elemental Gearbolt, a game I've been meaning to play for about 100 years. And also Linda Cubed and Abba Rainbow Princess. And of course, who could forget Noriko, a PC Engine CD adventure game about dating the then 15-year-old idol Noriko Ogawa. What this tells me is that Vampire Panic was made by people already quite used to creating odd experiments with generic game parts, and this one is no different. In the year 1806, a vampiric plague has fallen upon the town of Incel in the kingdom of Burkgard. Townspeople are going missing and turning into monsters. Now the unwilling servants of the long-sealed vampire lord Castaneda, who woke up to terrorize the populace once again. Richard, the mayor of Incel, is driven into a corner and begs the king for help from the neighboring kingdom of Vennonia. Vennonia responds, but not in the way anyone was hoping. Sure, they're driving back the vampires, but they also behave a lot like an invading army. They keep the locals in line through fear and intimidation, imposing strict lockdown measures and blocking all exits, keeping the town under quarantine while threatening the townspeople into complying with their demands. Santino, who commands all Vennonian forces in the area, clearly has his own agenda which he'd rather keep a secret from Richard. We come into the story as outsiders, members of an organization named ISLA, the International Spiritual Liberators Association, basically an anime exorcist NATO strike force. The ISLA advance team succeeds in tracking down and confronting Castaneda, but are defeated and their fates are unknown. That's where Rusty and Mary come in, two young ISLA agents sent to Incel in order to link up with the previous team and complete their mission. They get along very well with the Vennonians. I enjoy how the fight scene is bathed in a harsh red, save for the character models. It reminds me of a manga volume's opening color pages. This Incel daytime segment is equally charming with its grainy sepia drabness. There's a lot being done with very little. The town is crawling with black cats and crows all over the place. Everyone is wary of your presence, but also see you as their only hope. An argument between Santino and Richard reveals how bad things really are. It turns out the Vennonians are keeping the peace by deliberately kicking people out of town to become vampire food, therefore driving them away from Incel and technically completing their objective in the worst possible way. The mayor is slightly upset about this, if you can believe it. A scream is heard and our heroes rush outside to stop another sacrifice from taking place. We see two men, one of which is clearly on the verge of vamping out. Mary suggests we escort the men over to Gen, the old mage from the advance team who survived, and is now holed up in a church on the outskirts of town. Apparently she always knew this and just never told Rusty for some reason. Most of Vampire Panic's finer details are lost on me, as the game's fan translation is rustic to say the least, and renders a lot of dialogue incomprehensible, though I doubt I'm missing some compelling drama here. Luckily, the church is one whole screen away, but I'm afraid not everyone will make it there. Shreeman, who is possibly a mistranslation of Suleiman, is fated to lose his humanity and become a glorified combat tutorial for Rusty. Once the poor bastard is taken care of, we enter the church. Here it's revealed that vampirism in this world is similar to a zombie infection. The vampire's victims slowly turn into mindless monsters that live to serve him and make more of themselves. However, it's not all bad, as Gin knows Curaga and can reverse the infection at any stage. Peepaw also provides the game's backstory. It turns out Isla were the ones to previously seal the Great Vampire. with Gin himself doing the deed. Now that the seal was broken, both Gin and Abby were sent to restrain him, and as we already know, this encounter went poorly for all involved. Gin was left incapacitated and Abby possibly killed in action. The good news is Castaneda was also greatly wounded during the fight, and will have to regain his strength by feeding on people, giving us a small window to save the citizens and keep him weak, while we gather all the items necessary to seal him again. I dislike doing these elongated story recap things, but this time I felt it necessary. This is all the context we're gonna get. This is not a game with many words, and it's better off for it, especially since I can't understand any of them. Anyway, that's enough preamble. The true Vampire Panic starts here. A few weeks ago, I came across a tweet from a Japanese person talking about Vampire Panic. They unfavorably compared the game to a simple series title, and apparently disliked how cheap it felt, despite the interesting ideas on display. This take was somewhat illuminating for me. When I think of the simple series, I think of funny, budget, ecchi games and weird, ambitious outliers. I think of The Sniper, The Maid Uniform and Machine Gun, Demolition Girl, Onechambara, The Miniskirt Police, and many other internet nerd classics. That being said, it makes perfect sense why someone from Japan would equate them with cheap, disposable games. What you get from the simple series over there is probably just lots of pachinko and gambling and assorted sports bullshit. And if you don't possess Gaijin sight, a lot of the games I just mentioned must also come off as crude or stupid. I fully respect this position, but what I can't agree with is the idea that Vampire Panic resembles those games in any way that matters. Sure, the game is superficially cheap. The presentation is very sparse and there's maybe 20 total lines of voiced dialogue. But as I said before, they do a lot with very little. It's a very concise, elegant experience, carried entirely by its gameplay and art design. Nothing about it feels bargain bin upon close inspection. Everything holds and works quite well, which I assume is just an Alpha System staple. Another staple of theirs is procuring excellent guest artists to work with them. While Linda featured character designs by Tatsuyuki Tanaka, also known as Cannabis, Vampire Panic features character designs by Homare, also known as Fool's Art, a longtime illustrator and purveyor of goblin rape hentai. This was one of his few video game gigs, and he crushes it, as expected of a professional pervert. Sure, the game is like 4 real characters, but they all look great. Very cool fantasy OVA people.
This ain't no Mickey Mouse. This ain't no Looney Tunes. This is anime.
According to our first survivor Johan, his assistant Melissa went to pick medicinal herbs in a nearby forest and he's worried for her safety. There's a brief tutorial on how healing items work and then we're on our way. The herbs we can pick are all of the cursed screaming face variety, often seen in fantasy settings. And sure enough, they emit a loud noise when collected, which raises the alert meter. I wonder what that's for. In case you couldn't already tell, Vampire Panic has 3 playable characters. Pretty much everything about them, from their archetypes to personalities and fighting styles, can be figured out just by looking at them for a few seconds. Rusty is the straight-laced fighter/paladin shonen protagonist. Simple, reliable sword attacks that work very well on vampires and also humans. He has no real clue what's going on, but still wants to save everyone no matter what. A perfect pick for this first rescue mission. There are a total of 3 exiled citizens in the Scream Forest, the elusive Melissa among them. Right away, the forest starts living up to its name. The first survivor we come across is an old man named Nathan, who claims to have seen a woman deeper in the forest. One screen transition later and we find a tall blonde man fighting a pack of dogs. He's named Jacob. Big boy. The good news is our arrival gave him a window to run away and escape. The bad news is the dogs are now mauling Nathan to death. This is going to blow your goddamn mind, but Vampire Panic does in fact have a panic mechanic, as he's so kindly demonstrating. Almost every survivor in the game has an invisible panic meter that raises when taking damage. While panicking, they become uncontrollable and run around screaming until their stamina bar depletes. Then they must stay still for a few seconds to catch their breath before rejoining. Naturally, you can also hit them by accident, and it's just as frustrating and hilarious as it sounds. Nate over here freaked out not just because he's being attacked by wild animals, but because I also parked my sword in his face, and in his genius ends up running behind the shack, which was right in front of another dog. I save him from himself and then get to work on making the wildlife neither wild nor alive. Now we can rescue Melissa, who is also one screen away. If I were a different man, I'd complain about how this game takes place in a series of tiny, empty beat-em-up stages that you visit repeatedly. But I am, unfortunately, myself, so all I feel is immense relief at playing something this concise and purpose-oriented, instead of the average post-2019 video game, which might as well be classified as psychological warfare. Oh, hi Melissa. Let's go back to the church already. I'm going to play the next segment unedited, just so you understand what Vampire Panic is all about.
ついてきてください。
No, this is not footage of an ant colony. The game is just like this. Allow me to explain. The vampire that suddenly showed up was Castaneda, yes, the game's main villain. He's not brooding in his castle or sending minions after you. He is on the verge of death and needs blood, just as Gen said. You can see he's all dried up and hunched over from exhaustion here. He will pay you a visit every time the alert meter fills to maximum. The meter goes up by itself, but jumps forward when you grab a healing herb or get in trouble. His appearance sends Nathan into yet another meltdown, but he's picked Melissa as his prey. When attacking your survivors, he'll always cast a binding spell to freeze them in place, and then ready himself for the bite. Do try to beat him up before this happens, otherwise he'll infect them, at which point they'll require an immediate visit to the church to avoid the mercy killing by your hands. Biting your friends will also make him stronger and considerably harder to fight off. In this case, I managed to stop him from biting Melissa and he teleported away out of shame. However, the vampire spell also charms the target, leading her to run after Nathan and nearly beat him to death before I cut her down. I have no idea if the charm wears off after some time, or how I could prevent her from going on a killing spree until it does, but that's the game. Castaneda is simultaneously a scary horror game pursuer enemy, and also a ridiculous cartoon villain, whose evil plans are always foiled by you. It's a cat and mouse chase where you switch between the two at the drop of a hat. We grab Jacob on the way back. His gigantic life and stamina bar is a welcome change after what I've just been through. The best tip I can give you regarding this game is that if you tell your survivors to wait, they'll slowly recover health. This is mandatory for keeping some of them alive. It's a totally valid strategy to just leave them behind and clear a path before calling them over. Just before leaving the Scream Forest, we come across a new type of bug, as the game calls them. They're stronger than usual, but are headless and thus have to echolocate. If you walk slowly, you won't alert them. Each survivor you rescue will give you some kind of reward, from healing items to upgrade materials and even new weapons. Surprisingly, a lot of them do have their own side plots, and it's quite fun having to engage with them. Like recovering stolen jewels or resolving family drama right as they're all about to die. It's your duty to everyone after all, no matter how old or young or drunk or gay they are. Leaving the church, we're greeted by a nun named Kathy. She claims that Venonian forces are capturing the locals and setting up a human buffet at a local dungeon, and begs Isla for help. Sure, why not? Our first mission went so well already. If you're playing the game blind, there's about a 90% chance the dungeon rescue will go disastrously. There are 5 people to rescue down here, but that's not the hard part. I brought up Pikmin and Dead Rising before for a reason. You know how those games sometimes feel like you're an overworked teacher trying to organize a school trip in hell? Well, Vampire Panic goes the extra mile by throwing actual children and even babies into the mix. With kids, you can choose to either carry them or have them follow you normally. Carrying someone means you can't dodge, but on their own they have no life or stamina whatsoever. And yes, I did say life, because they can die. And they can also panic and run around screaming for their moms who might already be dead, or even trying to kill them at the behest of their new vampire boyfriend. The dungeon gives us Wendy, a lost nun who I'd guess is related to Kathy, and an entire family of 4 with the mother Linda, the father Ken, and the 2 kids Conan and Julia. Okay, so that was god-awful. Oh hey, apparently Wendy was killed by anatomy. What a relief. I thought it might have been my broadsword hitting her in the face. Alright Julia, the Batman is gone, but he did bite me, so we need to get to the church right now before I do some Tom Hanks shit to you. Damn, it was cold outside. Oh, was it? Is that the biggest problem right now? A girl always worried about her brother Conan. Well, apparently not. Linda, Ken's wife. This was the moment I realized I had no idea who Ken was, and then the laugh track played as I ran back into the dungeon to rescue the dad I'd forgotten about until right now. And I'm not sure what that says about me. Rusty resigns out of shame after this terrible blunder, so now it's Mary's time to shine. Mary belongs to the genre of cool anime woman, stuck somewhere between femme fatale and pathetic human train wreck. Best embodied by that one Cowboy Bebop episode where Faye Valentine eats dog food. She's a close-range fighter, which puts her at a slightly lower risk of friendly fire. Pretty strong on her own, but you can also pull her devil trigger and do even more damage. A fine choice for saving Ken. If I don't do what they say, then my family will be dead. Yeah man, that would suck. How convenient. It turns out there was actually a hidden passage in the church leading to an underground dock, and all the way to the prison underneath Inselberg Castle, Castaneda's old home. Inside one of the cells, we get robbed at gunpoint by none other than Abby, the second advance team member who survived getting launched off a cliff, thanks to Monica, a little girl who rescued the dying Abby and patched him up. Monica is looking for her lost brother Harry, and won't come along with us until we find him. Now I really regret bringing Rusty for this. All jokes aside, everything goes just fine. There's not much space for things to go wrong when every area in this game has like 5 rooms. Abby could easily pass for a Castlevania character, especially one from the Ayumi Kojima Visual Kei era. He's an edgy gunslinger priest that does the anime wall lean and sounds like this.
Jinも何を思ってお前なんかを呼んだんだか。ヴァンパイアについて詳しくもないお前が。
Of course he's my favorite character. His revolver has 6 shots and he can only land them while locked onto an enemy. This makes him quite useful as you can pick them off from far away or even when they're off screen. The lock-on requirement should also make Abby basically incapable of friendly fire. Should. You know, theoretically. We do manage to find Harry in the castle, and much to our convenience, he's holding the same stake once used by Isla to seal Castaneda. The siblings are safe and sound, at least for the next 9 hours until the Venonians nuke this entire area. Yeah, it turns out they couldn't even keep Incel relatively safe, and the vampire outbreak has started there as well. So Santino orders his men to just kill everyone they see, while the others stay holed up and waiting to be vaporized by royal artillery. Venonian soldiers now join the pool of enemies you'll come across, though they do also fight monsters, so it's a good idea to put a few spiders or bats between you and them. The town is even shittier than usual. The emo tavern girl refuses our help because she wants to die by herself playing piano. We can rescue the town blacksmith, whose name is Smith, to upgrade our gear at the church. I guess you just don't get to upgrade anymore if he dies, which is pretty cool. Here we have Ignacio. He's the son of Moore, the richest man in town, currently a runaway, as his father wanted to ship him off to the Venonian army so he could learn to be a real man. I can't imagine why he'd do that. Ignacio is a very unique character. Some would say he's downright peculiar. He's got that woman NPC walk cycle, and some special voice lines. He's so profoundly Okama he straight up refuses to be rescued by Mary and gets very insecure around her. You have to get him with either Rusty or Abby. From here on out, the plan is to gather the remaining items needed for the sealing ritual, while securing a way out through the docks, while saving as many people as possible before dawn breaks and everything explodes. I could keep going, but I think you get it by now. The whole appeal of the game lies in all the chaotic variables you can stumble into, and that can't really be conveyed through video. Naturally, there are multiple endings which are determined by rank. How much time you took, how many survivors you have, how many times you've saved, and so on. My rank was C, which gave me a fairly standard everyone escapes and the evil is defeated, or is it, type ending. I imagine the higher rank endings are more conclusive. Vampire Panic does have one last surprise for us, and it's very excited to show it. Added Vampire Mode. You can select now from New Game Screen. You'll view the game from Vampire's perspective. Vampire Control Mode. Take a fun turn in this mode. Vampire mode is not some quick extra minigame. It's a fully fledged campaign with its own story and characters. Those 4 exclamation points are well earned, believe me. We wake up somewhere in Inselberg Castle, dying from thirst. A black cat, bizarrely named Twy greets us. According to him, we need to suck human blood to survive, and to get enough before dawn breaks and we explode. Something weird is happening even beyond the talking cat though. We are clearly supposed to be Count Castaneda. We look like him. We're in his creepy castle, but things don't add up. We wake up clearly confused, not knowing who we are or even that we're a vampire. The player character is convinced he's human, but is being taken over by a vampiric lust for blood regardless. What could it mean? I don't know, why don't you play it and find out? Both the Isla and Vampire campaigns probably add up to like 4 hours. And there's no way you have anything better to do if you're watching this channel. Yes, that's the actual walking animation. Nice stats too, no wonder we need blood. So yeah, you now have access to the entire vampire moveset. From the charm spell to Rapukins to just throwing dirt at people. You even have a fast travel that lets you teleport anywhere in the map. I'm not sure how the timeline works here, but it seems the vampire mode starts right after the Venonian fuck everything plan goes into motion. So the soldiers are going around slaughtering your prey before you can get to them. It's a very interesting dynamic. You're incredibly weak at the start, so you have to find isolated targets, people who can't fight back. Somehow I feel like that might have been a bad idea. Because this game is amazing, the survivor list from the Isla mode is now the food list, where we do culinary reviews of every single person we feed on. A little bitter, huh? You will notice we still have an alert meter, and it means exactly what you think it does. Kind of scared the shit out of me, to be honest. Fighting Isla members in our current form is pretty much impossible. So how do we power up to gain a fighting chance without getting the feds involved? The answer, of course, lies in our basement. There we find 3 young dames taken from their homes, now flailing around in terror before we turn them into blood bags. The vampire mode feels impressively evil. You've already spent some time getting acquainted with these people and saving them from danger, and now they're completely helpless before you. It feels like something straight out of Tecmo's Deception series, or like something you'd find on the darkest corners of DL site. I feel like I'm reading a Homare Dojin. The Scream Forest is also a great place to farm blood in. Do this enough times and you finally reach your true form, which is the most broken thing in the game. You are now faster and stronger than everyone else. Your only physical attack is to bitch slap people out of the way. You can now do a Psycho Crusher. You still need to take care against Isla members, but any other threats might as well not exist from this point on. The game has now become a goofy slasher movie where you run around killing people in ridiculous ways.
What would you do if there was a child right in front of you?
盾になれ。
It's not my fault. You know, Vampire Panic used to come with a demo for that Berserk Millennium Falcon game. It's probably the only reason anyone bothered with it back then. I don't think there's any relation between them other than both games having excellent fan translations. I suppose both Vampire Panic and Berserk also feature a great deal of child death, both accidental and otherwise. The cat says we're working towards the creation of a new Dark Kingdom, but it won't come to pass unless all the Isla agents die. We're already at the final boss, more or less. Just do some leveling if you feel like it, and then head to the dungeon where you'll fight Rusty, Mary, and Abby one after the other. Both campaigns have a credits roll where you can see every survivor and what became of them. In the Isla mode, you can see everyone you've saved, everyone who died or turned vampire, and the people you never came across. In the vampire mode, the credits basically show you a list of your victims and what you did to them. I really like having this slideshow of dead people over some mellow RPG town music. You are somewhat well and are a player. You know what? Sure. Vampire Panic has one measly idea to its name, but it's a great idea, done very well, and taken surprisingly far for such a small title. It's not grasping towards something greater, it's exactly what it wants to be. The level of NPC complexity seen here is completely gone from newer games. I don't think it's even been attempted in the past 20 years. There are only 2 people on the entire internet who've publicly talked about Vampire Panic, and I'm one of them. If nothing else, I hope I've been able to convey just how impressive it really is. I think I've beaten the shit out of the term fully realized over this past year of videos. But it really is a perfect fit here. I think it's a great game for people who are tired of games and want something that's pure and polished. Also, I have something to confess. For the past year or so, I've been under the impression that Vampire Panic was made by the same team as Dead Rising, who basically combined this game with Shadow of Rome to create it. I played both games for this video. I was getting ready to write about creative timelines, and how the base concept grew into something much greater. About how great games are the product of hyper-focused, ultra-talented dev teams, just as much as they come from genius auteurs and outsiders. I felt like a very clever boy for figuring all this stuff out, except I looked at the credits and what do you know? Not a single Dead Rising developer was involved with Vampire Panic. It's not even the same studio or publisher. The 2 games are completely unrelated, and I didn't bother to check until I'd already recorded all the footage. This isn't Dead Rising's older brother, so much as it's Dead Rising's distant burnout cousin who never gets invited to anything. It is entirely possible that Vampire Panic served as inspiration for Dead Rising, but that's about it. Or maybe Capcom are just assholes and stole a random game's concept for themselves. I don't know. I've actually been getting some decent engagement lately, at least for my standards, so I figured I'd treat you all by making a video that is almost completely pointless. You're welcome.